Today I'd like to talk to you about the Ergo training program you went through. If you remember, your body is a mechanical system, and because you're made of different body parts working together, how you use your body when you get work tasks done ultimately determines how much wear and tear damage you do to yourself as you go through your life. So one of the processes we shared with you is the concept of Ergo Power Principles. The Ergo Power Principles is a way that you can coach yourself to see if the current techniques you're using to get your work done are pretty good or pretty stressful, and to see if it even can be improved. And the reason it's a process is because we found that the more you try and change at once, the harder it is to make any change at all. And if you remember your training, it's because our body is designed to work on autopilot most of the time. We work from habits that we've developed, and we're not consciously thinking about how we move our bodies. So the way to apply the Ergo Power Principles is to follow down the checklist in the order that you have learned them, and ask yourself, hey, as I do this task, whether it's on the job or at home, am I following this principle or am I violating this principle? And if I'm not following the principle, is there any way that I can change something that I'm doing and improve my working technique? So let's review those Ergo Power Principles. The first and most important Ergo Power Principle is to face forward. And facing forward means the feet and the chest point in the same direction whenever you're working. When your torso turns and your feet are planted to the ground, your body twists. And when your body twists, you overstress your knees and you overstress your lower back. So you ask yourself, as I'm doing work, are my feet and chest pointing in the same direction so that I'm facing forward and avoiding that twist? Are you twisting or are you facing forward when you're working with hot sticks out of your bucket? Are you twisting or are you facing forward when you're working with a shovel, or working with tools in an underground manhole, or turning a valve? And by checking yourself and saying, are my feet and chest pointing in the same direction, you avoid that twist. So facing forward is the first and most important Ergo Power Principle, because twisting can significantly damage the knees and the lower back over time. The second Ergo Power Principle is to stay close. When you lift objects, keep them close to your body as you lift them, as you carry them, and as you set them down. Because when we reach for objects, we tend to bend at the waist, and this can stress the lower back anywhere from 3 to 8 times more. When we work with our elbows far away from our body, we tend to stress the shoulder, and the further the hands go away from the body to work, the more shoulder stress is there. And this can be as much as 6 or 7 times the stress on the shoulders. So coach yourself as you work and ask yourself, am I keeping loads close to my body to minimize the stress on my shoulders and on my lower back? The third Ergo Power Principle is to utilize wide foot stances. When you use wide foot stances, you give your body a strong and stable platform to work from. So use wide foot stances whether working from buckets, whether shoveling or digging, or doing any activity on the job or at home. Using a front to back foot stance when pushing or pulling also gives you a strong, stable platform to work from. The next Ergo Power Principle is to be an elevator and not a crane. And this means keeping your spine more vertically oriented when working. The autopilot that a lot of us tend to develop over the years is to bend over to reach for things. And when we bend, we increase the stress on the low back 3, 4, 5, as much as 8 times. So being an elevator means using your legs to lower and raise your body and keep the spine more vertically oriented. Remember the concept of standing tall when working with rakes or when shoveling or digging, keeping the spine standing more vertically erect. Now this doesn't mean you should never bend. Some bending every day is essential to keep your lower back muscles strong and healthy. Too little bending is no good. Too much bending is no good. Try and be an elevator, keeping your spine erect as much as you can when it's practical to do so. And this will reduce the stress on your lower back considerably. And the last Ergo Power Principle is to use support. Sometimes we have to bend over, but when you support your body weight with an arm on a thigh, for example, or a hand on a safe and stable object, you take stress off of the lower back. So by applying those 5 Ergo Power Principles, you can coach yourself to better working techniques and a better quality of life. Follow those Ergo Power Principles one at a time. Face forward, stay close, use wide stances, be an elevator, and use support. Ask yourself, am I following this principle or am I violating it? And as you coach yourself, if you find you are violating one of these principles, try and change your working technique so you follow it better. And by doing so, you bring yourself to a much better quality of life.